पण ते थोडंसं मी लिंक चुकीची गेलेली असल्यामुळे 4 तारीख गेलेलं आहे लिंकवर, त्यामुळे त्यांनी ते काय केले, लोक निवांत जॉईन होतील.
चालेल, मग आपण करूया. चालेल सर, मला खूप बॅड फील होते, मला पीपीटी नाही दाखवत. पीपीटीवर खूप मेहनत घेतली, काय म्हणजे टेक्निकल इश्यू काय कळत नाही मला.
तसं नाही होत, कारण हा गुगल मीट ॲप अत्यंत साधा आहे. आपण शेअर स्क्रीनवर जाऊन आपण त्याला जॉईन झाल्यानंतर सादर करणं सोपं आहे, काही कठीण नाही. असू द्या, हरकत नाही.
नाही, कॉलेजमध्ये शिकवताना आमचा कॉलेजचा ऑफिशियल ईमेल आयडी याच्यावरच मी पीपीटी शेअर करते. मोबाईल मधनं मला जमत नाही, त्यामुळे प्रॉब्लेम आहे.
बरं, असू द्या.
मोबाईल मधनं शेअर नाही करतात.
श्री कुमारस्वामी महाविद्यालय औसा, जिल्हा लातूर, वर्ल्ड रेकॉर्ड वेबिनार सिरीज 2 ही सुरू झालेली आहे. या वेबिनार मालिकेचा आजचा हा 91वा दिवस, 91st डे, आणि यामध्ये आज पोश ॲक्ट 2013 या विषयावर बोलण्यासाठी नेत्रा ठाकरे मॅडम, ज्या की पटक गला कॉलेज ऑफ कॉमर्स आणि मॅनेजमेंट मुंबई येथून निमंत्रित करण्यात आलेले आहेत. हा विषय महिलांच्या संरक्षणासाठी संबंधित असून मी त्यांना विनंती करतो की आपण आपलं सादरीकरण या आमच्या सर्व उपस्थितीसाठी सादर करावं. धन्यवाद.
ओके, थँक्यू सर. कॅमेरा बंद ठेवला तरी चालेल का?
नाही, ते योग्य नाही वाटणार, ते योग्य नाही.
काही हरकत नाही. दिसतंय सर स्क्रीनवर प्रॉपर?
होय, पण चेहऱ्यावर लाईट नाही, पाठीमागे लाईट आहे.
This act is regarding the prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. So the main aim of this act is to provide protection against the sexual harassment of women at workplace and for the prevention and redressal of complaints of sexual harassment and for matters which is connected therewith. This act is, the main objective of this act is this. So the sexual harassment is a kind of violation of fundamental rights of a woman to right to equality, which is given under Article 14 of the Constitution, Article 15 of the Constitution of India, and also her right to life and to live with the dignity under Article 21. So the sexual harassment is the violation of all these important articles which is given under the Constitution of India. So, and also this also violates the right to practice any profession or carry on any occupation, trade or business, which includes a right to safe environment free from sexual harassment. So all these rights should not be get violated. So if there is any sexual harassment, this violates all these important article which is given under the article of which is given under the Constitution of India. This protection against the sexual harassment and the right to work with the dignity are also universally recognized human rights by international conventions and the instruments such as Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against the woman, which has been also ratified on 25th June 1993 by the government of India. So this is the little bit background about this act. So now I'll proceed towards the act, Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. So I'm trying to cover the important point that objective of the sessions are to build esteem, self-esteem and dignity among the girl students and the ladies faculty members, especially not only ladies faculties who are working in the college, but all the women, and also to create the awareness regarding the women's right, also to avoid and prohibit sexual harassment at workplace, to understand the concept of sexual harassment, and for redressal there are a provision of committees, that is internal complaints committee and the local committee. So regarding a little bit about the functioning of this committee, the procedure to file a complaint and to handle the complaint and the action which is taken against the accused person. So I'm trying to cover all these points in this. So as all of you know about you must have heard about the Vishaka guidelines. बऱ्याच जणांना विशाखा गाईडलाईन्स माहित असतील असं मी समजू शकते. कुणाला आयडिया आहे का विशाखा गाईडलाईन्स काय आहे किंवा ऐकलंय का कुठे तुम्ही? सर मराठीत बोललं तर चालेल ना?
हो चालते.
हा. Yes, anybody has heard about the Vishaka guidelines? Okay. So the main important case behind this act is Bhavri Devi case, which is came in 1992. So Bhavri Devi was a social worker, and she was a part of a campaign, and she was doing her social work. She used to go to home in order to make awareness among the people in order to stop the child marriage. And in that area only, this is the case from Rajasthan side. So in that area, in the upper class society, one of the child marriage was going to be happen. So she come to know about that child marriage. So she tried to stop that marriage. And then that people, she tried to make them understand that this is an offense, that there should not be a child marriage in that home. So that people were not ready to listen. So she filed a police complaint. So in order to take the revenge of this, as she filed a police complaint, that upper class people or the people from that home where that marriage was stopped, they gang raped Bhavri Devi. So just see that what she has to bear. She was just doing her work, and she was doing a part of campaign in order to stop the child marriage. But this was happened with her in 1992. So she filed a case against this district court, session court, फिर अपील में high court में भी case गया, but nothing was happened. So afterwards, one of the Vishakha, that is the NGO, they tried to fight a case on behalf of that Bhavri Devi. So that Vishakha group of females, they filed a PIL, public interest litigation, in the Supreme Court. So during that time in 1997, when that case was going on in the Supreme Court provided the guidelines and the norms which were laid down by the Supreme Court in 1997, and which is later on become the sources of this POSH Act 2013. So that guidelines are taken in that act only. So while discussing, we'll discuss that also. So this POSH Act came into existence 9 December 2013. So Bhavri Devi ka case, uske baad Vishakha guidelines, and thereafter the result of that Vishakha guideline is the POSH Act. So now, as I already discussed about this, sexual harassment is the violation of the important article under the fundamental rights under the Constitution of India, which is given under Article 14, 15 and Article 21. So let us understand what is meant by the sexual harassment, first of all. So sexual harassment is nothing but the physical contact or advances by any person at the workplace, demanding or requesting the sexual favors, showing pornography, then sexually colored or unwelcome remarks. Thereafter, there are different types of sexual harassment, but there is a little bit difficulty to understand. So whatever act is committed with any female, whether it amounts to a sexual harassment or not. So for that, under this particular act, some of the examples of sexual harassments are given. Thereafter, staring and leering obscene gestures, making hissing sounds and smacking lips. Thereafter, showing sexually obscene, suggestive signs, objects or pictures. Thereafter, passing dirty jokes or comments on a woman's, on their body or a dress. This also amount to a sexual harassment. Using power, position to request for the favors, or threat or loss of privileges or a loss of job. Thereafter, touching, patting, brushing against the another bodies. This happens especially in the public places. Okay, I will say that there is एक भी ऐसे single female नहीं होगी कि she has not faced all this kind of harassment, but she may not be knowing that this is the sexual harassment, but this is amount to sexual harassment. Okay. Thereafter, generally at workplace, what kind of sexual harassment takes place? Because this act is, if you see the name, Sexual Harassment at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act. So whatever kind of sexual harassment happens at workplace, what comes in that category? So that I'm going to tell you. That is flirting, thereafter asking someone out on date, then staring and watching someone, thereafter complimenting someone on their appearance, sending some gifts or flowers, thereafter leaving note for someone, forcefully having an affair or relationship with a colleague, thereafter follow up on work absences. This is not amount to a sexual harassment. Already I have told what amounts to a sexual harassment, but here also we should know in workplaces this happens. So what does not amount to a sexual harassment? So in that, following up on work absences, अगर आप frequently absent रह रहे हो और उसका follow up लिया जा रहा है, that doesn't amount to a sexual harassment. Requiring performance to job standards, this is also not amount to a sexual harassment. Thereafter, work related stress, that is meeting deadlines or quality standards. Thereafter, constructive feedback about the work, that is also not amount to a sexual harassment. Okay, so the sexual harassment definition is very vast. Some of the types I have already covered. Thereafter, generally in workplace, there are two types of sexual harassment happens. That is, one is called quid pro quo and the other is called as a hostile work environment. Actually, I have a video on that, so I want to show that, but because of that technical problem, I am not able to. But I am going to send the links that, sir, you can show, or on this group only I'll put that link so all can see that videos. That is very important to understand what is quid pro quo and what is hostile work environment. So little bit I'll tell about that. Quid pro quo means what? This for that. मतलब आप ऐसा करोगे तो मैं उसके बदले में आपको ये दूंगा. Like if you're coming with me for a cup of tea, then I maybe think about your promotions. So this is a kind of quid pro quo kind of sexual harassment of a woman. Okay. Thereafter, creating a hostile environment. जैसे gossiping होती है ना, groupism होता है, group में gossiping होती है. Okay. Suppose if any female is there, she is maybe a personal assistant of any boss. So जानबूझ के उसके ऊपर comment pass करना और ऐसा environment create करना which is not healthy one. So that is also amount to a sexual harassment. Like speech or conduct of a sexual nature talks, plays, okay, or offensive talk जो होती है. Like for example, I'll just share one example. A woman employee rejects love proposal of a male colleague. He starts harassing her and share her phone number with his friends. He and his friends call her at odd hours, even during the late nights. The woman employee feels awkward while working in the office. So she is scared to participate in the office work. So this affects her career and work capability. So this incidence is also amount to a kind of sexual harassment. So hostile environment create karna, that is also a kind of sexual harassment. Now in this particular act, as this act is related to workplace, so what kind of workplace are covered? So I just want to tell about that. So any place visited by an employee or a worker in the course of his employment, including the transportation, is also constituted as a workplace. मतलब काम पे जाने का time और काम से वापस लौटने का time, that is also considered in the workplace. Apart from that, this also includes the government, private establishment, hospitals, vocational educational institutions, sports, training institutions, thereafter hotel or guest house, which where the people can stay during the official travel, then client place, वर्कर्स ड्वेलिंग प्लेसेस, अगर कोई डोमेस्टिक वर्कर है और किसी के घर में वो काम करती है और वहीं पे रहती है, so that is a workplace for her, that is also amount to a workplace. Okay, now what type of employees are covered under this act? So any full-time employees, thereafter temporary worker, contract workers, daily wages employees, trainees, entrants, thereafter contractual workers, housekeeping, security staff, client representatives, vendor representatives, or volunteers with or without remuneration. So all these people comes in this category, matlab females, they comes in this category. Okay. Thereafter, what is the redressal mechanism under this particular act? So as per this act, in order to handle the complaints which are relating to the sexual harassment of an employee, it is mandatory that there has to be a internal complaints committee. Okay, और दूसरा है local committee. I'll tell you that कहाँ पे internal complaints committee चाहिए और कहाँ पे local committee चाहिए. So for all the workplaces employing 10 or more employees, it is mandatory for the employer under this act to constitute a internal complaints committee. Okay, so if the office or establishment has a branches at different places, then it is compulsory to constitute an ICC at each place. अगर ब्रांचेस भी होंगे तो हर एक ब्रांच पे जहाँ पे 10 या 10 से महिलाएं ज्यादा लोग काम करते हैं, ऐसी जगह पे ये कमेटी होना जरूरी है. Okay. Now here what is the composition? Means कौन यहाँ पे काम करता है? तो एक presiding officer है, that has to be a female, senior most female employee in that particular organization or office, और इसमें not less than half of the ICC members shall be women. Okay, the term of this ICC member is for 3 years. So a minimum of 3 members of the ICC, including the presiding officer, are to be present for conducting the inquiry. Means during the inquiry which is regarding the sexual harassment. Now already I have told you about the composition. Now under this act, if any female, she suffered from the sexual harassment, so how to file a complaint? So the complaint should be addressed to the internal complaints committee members and not to the employer or any HR representative. तो आपको complaint किसको करना है? Internal complaints committee में ही जाके आपको complaints करना है. So that complaint should be it should be in a written and in a simple language, which gives the exact detail about the information about the small incidences with the date, time and witnesses. इसके साथ में you can attach some other like documents also if possible, like relevant emails अगर है, या कुछ screenshots है, SMS है, WhatsApp messages है, call details है, photographs है. Okay, so all this you can attach with that complaint. Afterwards, in that complaint, the details of the harasser, including the name, designation, reporting structure between complainant and the respondent, if it is there, so that also you can give. Thereafter, the relief that is sought from the employer. मतलब आपको क्या ये चाहिए, remedies चाहिए, that also you have to write in the complaint. The complaint should be addressed to the IC member and not to the employer and HR representative. Okay. उसके बाद यहाँ पे whenever you are filing a complaint, don't think that कि मैंने अगर complaint file किया तो again I may be get harassed. तो as per rule under this act, आपका जो नाम है वो confidential रखा जाता है. Your name will not be get disclosed. Or sometimes there may be possibility कि the complainant is not able to give the complaint in writing. So she can direct the incident to any member of the internal complaints committee, and then internal complaints committee members can write your complaint and your sign will be taken. But obvious that आपको पूरा read करके बताया जाएगा कि आपने क्या लिखा है और हमने क्या लिखा है. Thereafter your sign will be taken. Okay. उसके बाद after making the complaint, there is a redressal and inquiry procedure. So here, when the incident of sexual harassment has happened, then the aggrieved person, जो victim है, she has to file a complaint within 3 months from the date of incidents. But अगर series of incidences है, मतलब आज कुछ थोड़ा हुआ है, दूसरे दिन कुछ थोड़ा हुआ है, तीसरे दिन, so जो last incident is happened, from that time 3 months का आपको time दिया जाएगा. Okay? Sometimes in the procedure there may be a possibility of conciliation, मतलब जो बोलते हैं ना settlement. If aggrieved person, जो victim है, if she want a settlement in that matter, so she can go for the settlement also. Okay, so aggrieved person, if she requests for the conciliation, then there will be a conciliation proceeding, and if the conciliation is get successful, the ICC will make the recommendation in terms of agreed resolution. Okay, तो वहाँ पे resolutions दिए जाएंगे. अगर aggrieved party is not ready for the conciliation, yes, yes, any doubt? Yeah. Okay, so if that aggrieved woman is not ready for the conciliation, settlement के लिए अगर ready नहीं है, then the committee will go for the inquiry, and during inquiry जो भी complaint का copy है, it has to be sent to the respondent within 7 days. Okay, then respondent मतलब जिसके अगेंस्ट में आपने complaint फाइल किया है उसको respondent बोलते हैं, और accused भी बोल सकते हैं. The respondent has to reply within 10 days with the list of documents and name and addresses of the witnesses. मतलब उनको भी टाइम दिया जाएगा in order to file their reply. उसके बाद ICC will prepare a report with recommendations. अगर allegations prove है तो उसके बारे में, allegations proved नहीं है तो उसके बारे में, या फिर allegations false है या malicious है. Sometimes there is maybe possibility क्या women's false complaint भी फाइल कर सकते हैं, तो उसके ऊपर भी रिपोर्ट ICC को देना है. Okay, so as per the report, then the action for the misconduct will be taken in case if the allegations are proved. Allegations अगर proved नहीं है तो no action by the employer, और in case अगर allegations false है या malicious है तो in that case the punishment for the malicious or false complaint will be given. इसको जिसने complaint किया है उसको. ऐसा मत सोचो कि woman है तो कभी भी हम लोग कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. You cannot do the false complaint against any person. अगर ऐसा करोगे तो आपके अगेंस्ट में ही केस हो सकता है. So now after this, in case allegations are proved, okay, so there will be a action against the misconduct, and for that also that that accused person may go for the appeal also. अगर in case अगर वो satisfied नहीं है तो appeal में जा सकता है, कोर्ट में या ट्रिब्यूनल्स में जा सकते हैं. ओके, सो जो इम्पोर्टेंट जो एक्ट की सिग्निफिकेंस है वो आपको यहाँ पे याद रखते हैं. जो टाइम लिमिट दिया है इन ऑर्डर टू फाइल अ कंप्लेंट अबाउट द सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट, दैट इज ऑफ 3 months फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ द लास्ट इंसिडेंट. ओके, और ऐसा नहीं है कि तारीख पे तारीख यहाँ पे होता है जैसे नॉर्मल कोर्ट में होता है. सो द टाइम बाउंड रिड्रेसल इज देयर विदिन 90 days only that complaint has to be disposed. So the ICC must complete the inquiry within 90 days from the receipt of written complaint for the aggrieved person, and to clear or conclude the that punishment about this. Okay, thereafter the important point is that confidentiality. During the process of inquiry, identity of the aggrieved person, that is victim जो है उनकी आइडेंटिटी डिस्क्लोज नहीं की जाती है. ओके, और ऑफेंडर का नाम भी डिस्क्लोज नहीं किया जाता है. शैल नॉट बी मेड पब्लिक और केप्ट इन द पब्लिक डोमेन. सोशल मीडिया पे वगैरह आप ऐसे नहीं डाल सकते हो किसी के अगेंस्ट में. सो दैट मच कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी इज मेंटेन अंडर द इंटरनल कंप्लेंट्स कमिटी. Thereafter conciliation. जैसे मैंने बोला है, अगर सेटलमेंट के लिए if aggrieved woman is ready, so there can be a possibility of settlements. Agar there is no full satisfaction about the conciliation among the aggrieved parties, for example, sometimes there may be a chances of monetary settlement, but I'll tell you the important thing in this, that monetary settlements is not allowed in this case of sexual harassment. Okay, so here the one more thing, the principle of natural justice will be followed, means equal opportunity will be given to both the party while inquiry, okay, or as well as while proving showing the evidences also. As I was telling about the monetary compensation, so in case of this ICC recommended disciplinary action against the respondent and also provides the restitution to the aggrieved person for emotional trauma and losses which are incurred in the form of monetary compensation. It means here no doubt settlement में monetary settlement नहीं होगा, but when this sexual harassment का cases happen and that victim is going through the trauma, okay, she may be mentally disturbed, physically disturbed, so during that monetary compensation is provided to the victim. Okay, there is also provision of punishment for the false and malicious complaint. So adequate check and balances are provided against the concern of the respondent. ऐसा नहीं है कि victim के बारे में ही हम लोग सोच रहे हैं, हम लोग respondent के बारे में भी सोच रहे हैं. So mere inability to substantiate the allegations of sexual harassment would not amount to a false complaint here. So यहाँ पे important thing है कि many times it happens कि whenever sexual harassment kind of incidents happens, so that accused always says कि मेरा ऐसा intention नहीं था. So intention will not be matter. The effect on the victim, that will be taken into consideration. I'll not repeat the points, only the important part. Responsibility of internal committee, that is, this committee will provide the assistance if an employee or a student who chooses to file a complaint with the police. So in case if any victim is not satisfied with the redressal which is given by the internal complaints committee, then internal committee can also further provide the assistance to the victim in order to file a police complaint also. Okay. Thereafter, responsibility of internal complaint committee is that it protects the safety of the complainants by keeping the confidentiality about the identity of the complainant. It provides the mandatory relief as required during the pendency of the complaint by way of sanctioning leave. जैसे अगर कोई disturb है mentally, तो she may want to go on leave. So employer has to release her on a leave. For that leave भी sanction किया जाता है. Thereafter, relaxation of attendance requirement, that will be also provided to the victim. Thereafter, transfer of the offender. अगर वहां पे ही काम करना है दोनों को जिसके अगेंस्ट में आपने कंप्लेंट फाइल की है, मतलब victim ने, तो in that case she may also ask about the transfer of the offender also. Here, this internal complaints committee shall ensure that the victims or witnesses are not victimized or discriminated while dealing with the complaint of sexual harassment. Excuse me. Yes. Okay. It means what? The woman who has filed a complaint, she should not be victimized or discriminated. मतलब उसने complaint फाइल किया है तो उसके साथ में जो treatment है वो किसी का नहीं change होना चाहिए. That will be the responsibility of internal complaints committee. Thereafter, ICC will also ensure prohibition of the retaliation of adverse action against a covered individual, so that the employee or the student engaged is protected. I am also using the word student because this internal complaints committee is also mandatory in the educational institutions. तो हर एक educational institutions में हर एक college में internal complaints committee mandatory है. So that's why I am using both the words employee as well as the student here. Now what kind of punishment is given to the accused person? So anyone who is found guilty of sexual harassment can also be punished according to the service rules, okay, service rules of the organization. Thereafter the aggrieved person is entitled for the compensation. जो भी victim है, she is entitled to get the compensation. Thereafter जो accused है, अगर simple से simple case हो तो warning देते हैं. उसके बाद written apology can be also taken from that person. Adverse remarks in the confidential report will be given by the employer. Stopping of increment or promotion, ऐसे भी actions लिए जाते हैं. Suspension, dismissal or any other relevant action as per maybe the service rule also. Okay. Now the compensation to the aggrieved person, the compensation will be paid to the aggrieved person shall be recovered from the offender. जो accused है उसकी तरफ से वो recovery किया जाएगा. The compensation payable shall be determined on the basis of mental trauma, pain, suffering and distress caused to the aggrieved person, the loss of career opportunities due to the incident of sexual harassment, the medical expenses incurred by the victim for physical and psychological treatment, then the feasibility of paying lump sum or installment, दोनों option है. So here action against the false complaint already हमने cover किया है. So important things which has to be remembered that regarding the effect of sexual harassment on the victim, there are 3 types of effects. Physical होता है, psychological होता है, economical भी होता है. So accordingly the monetary compensation also provided. So as this act is meant for prohibition of sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition, redressal act 2013. So what are the important things which should not be ignored by any woman? Whenever a woman is sexual harassed, it is not her fault. So always remember, keep in mind that the harasser may be an offender. Thereafter, the silence by the victim can be regarded as a consent by the offender. Always remember all these things. Don't believe that by keeping quiet, sexual harassment will be stopped on their own. So always make a noise and oppose the harasser, or share your experiences with the family, friends or colleagues or other to get they know about this harassment. And one more thing, as I have told about the internal complaints committee, I just want to add about the local committee also. So internal complaint committee तो organizations में, private sector में, government में ये compulsory है. But why there is a need of local committee? Now there are a possibility that in any place where the less than 10 women are working, so there may be a no constitution of this ICC in that place. So in that case, that woman has a option, means that the woman has can file a complaint to this local committees. Now this local committee is at district level. So district officer जो होता है, he appoints a nodal officer in तालुका में या फिर जो ग्राउंड लेवल पे है, हर जगह पे वार्ड्स में नोडल ऑफिसर अपॉइंट किया जाता है. एंड दैट जो विक्टिम है who suffered the sexual harassment, she can file a complaint, give the complaint to that nodal officer, and then that nodal officer give that complaint to the local committee which is at district level. Okay, and accordingly the same procedure जो internal complaints committee में है, the same procedure is followed in that local committee also. So ऐसा नहीं है कि ये सिर्फ जो एम्प्लॉय है जो कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में काम कर रहे हैं उनके लिए है, बट दिस इज फॉर ईच एंड एवरी. इसीलिए मैंने स्टार्टिंग में ही कवर किए थे पॉइंट कि कौन कौन इस कैटेगरी में आता है. दैट एम्प्लॉय की कैटेगरी में. So that also important thing here. So I try to cover maximum part of this act, but छोटे से टाइम में इतना possible नहीं है. But because I want to show the videos also and the PPT, many part in that PPT, but I try to cover maximum. But if you have any doubt, you can ask me. So I'll try to solve your queries. Yes, any questions?
थैंक यू मैडम. उपस्थित सभी साथियों को रिक्वेस्ट है कि इस एक्ट पे आप मैडम के साथ चर्चा करना चाहते हैं या कोई आपकी समस्या है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं. धन्यवाद.
गुड इवनिंग मैडम.
Good evening, sir.
हेलो.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
बद्रुद्दीन सर आप पूछिए.
गुड इवनिंग मैम.
Good evening, sir.
मैडम आपने बहुत ही इंफॉर्मेटिव लेक्चर डिलीवर किया है, लेकिन इसका ज्यादा जो है दुरुपयोग हो रहा है दैन दी गुड यूज. चूंकि मैं यूनिवर्सिटी में काम करता हूँ, मैंने देखा है इसमें इतने अच्छे प्रोविजंस हैं, लेकिन इसका इंटिमिडेशन के जरिए जो है मिसयूज हो रहा है, बहुत टीचिंग फ्रेटर्निटी में भी, स्टूडेंट्स कम्युनिटी में भी. तो अपने और दूसरी बात क्या है, ये एक्ट रहने के बावजूद भी आईसीसी जैसे इंटरनल कंप्लेंट कमेटी जो बनी हुई है, उसमें भी काफी जो है मतलब मॉल फंक्शनिंग देखी गई मुझे. मतलब दिस इज टू बी स्ट्रीमलाइन प्रॉपर्ली इंस्टीट्यूशनल लेवल, क्योंकि हाँ ये चीज हो रही है. ठीक है, मगर मेरा ये कि मानना था ये आईसीसी वगैरह तमाम चीजें, यानी आप भी शायद अपने जमाने में जो यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रही थी 80s से 90s में, ऐसी कोई चीज आईसीसी नाम की
नहीं थी. वुमेन डेवलपमेंट सेल जो था उसके अंडर ये सब होता था पहले, अभी सेपरेट कमेटी है.
मेरा सवाल ये कि क्या इस चीज की जरूरत क्यों आन पड़ी है और इसके लिए कौन जिम्मेवार है, और क्या ये आईसीसी या जो भी इसके एनैक्टमेंट्स हैं, अभी जिस तरह से रेसलर्स जो स्ट्रगल कर रही हैं अपने लिए, तो क्या मैं समझती हूँ कि इसके लिए कोई ऐसा सख्त कानून हो कि आईसीसी ये इतना ज्यादा एक कंटेजियस डिसीज की तरह फैलता जा रहा है हमारे कंट्री में. डेवलप्ड नेशंस में जो है भी लोग काम कर रहे हैं, लेडीज काम कर रही हैं, ऐसी शिकायतें आपने होती. हिंदुस्तान में इसकी जो पेस जो है 16% इंक्रीज हो गया है. ये तो इसको किस तरह से कि क्या पॉश इज एनफ टू प्रिवेंशन के लिए? मेरा सवाल.
POSH is not enough, sir, but at least very late. I'm saying that 1992 का केस है भवरी देवी का. This was happened. So उसके बाद विशाखा गाइडलाइंस है 1997 में, और उसके बाद निर्भया का केस भी हुआ, और उसके बाद 2013 में ये एक्ट आया सर. वेरी लेट. सो यू जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड, मैं आपके साथ में हूँ कि बहुत लेट हुआ है. Because already I have told, the sexual harassment is the violation of Article 14, 15 and even Article 21. तो उसके बावजूद भी हमारा जो गवर्नमेंट है उसको ही मैं ब्लेम करूंगी. और आप जो बोल रहे हो, जो भवरी देवी है जिसके वजह से ये एक्ट आया, अभी तक उसको जस्टिस नहीं मिला है सर. आप गूगल पे सर्च कर सकते हो.
इतना लूप होल रहने के बावजूद ऐसे एक्ट का रहना है, क्योंकि इसमें अगर वैल्यू
बट somehow that I would say that somehow there is कहाँ पे तो भी प्रिवेंशन है थोड़ा बहुत. तो there are very less cases I would say. कुछ तो डिस्क्लोज ही नहीं होते हैं, बट जो भी होते हैं उनको प्रॉपर एड्रेसल होता है, because it is mandatory. Even as mandatory I am telling, अगर ऐसी कमेटी नहीं है तो एम्प्लॉयर को फाइन भी देना पड़ता है, 50,000 तक फाइन उसको देना पड़ता है, because it is compulsory कि ऐसा कमेटी होना चाहिए.
नहीं मैडम, आपने अपने लेक्चर में कहा कि जो है कोई केस के लिए कंपनसेशन, क्या कंपनसेशन जो बंदा जो भी एग्रीड पर्सन है, अक्यूज्ड है, क्या उसको पैसे दे के आप उसकी तकलीफ को दूर कर सकते हैं? क्या उसकी बदनामी?
नो सर, अग्रीड नहीं. ये तकलीफ तो दूर नहीं कर सकते, बट व्हाटएवर शी हैज सफर्ड, तो उसका पैसा उसमें लगा है, तो व्हाई? बिकॉज ऑफ दैट पर्सन, एक्यूज पर्सन की वजह से उसने सफर किया है. सो ऑफेंडर के तरफ से ही उसको कंपनसेशन देना चाहिए, इसलिए प्रोविजन बनाई गई है.
मैडम आप ये जो रेसलर्स का इशू चल रहा है, ये भी ऑफ कोर्स एट हायर लेवल ये भी यही जो है थोड़ा सा वायलेशन होने की वजह से इनके चलते कि सारे नेशन सारे वर्ल्ड में ये इतना ज्यादा जो है इसका चर्चा हो रही है, इस पे आपके क्या विचार है मैडम? प्लीज थोड़ा सा हाईलाइट कीजिए।
लोगों का मेंटालिटी चेंज होना चाहिए. देयर शुड बी अ प्रॉपर रिस्पेक्ट टू ईच एंड एवरी वुमन. आई फील अंडर दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट मेंटालिटी सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है.
महेश जैन सर, आप पूछ सकते हैं.
हाँ जी हाँ, थैंक यू मेरे को मौका दिया बात पूछने का. हाँ मैडम, अच्छे कंटेंट्स आपने कवर किया. मैं जानना चाहूंगा जो ऑनलाइन सिस्टम है, जो सी बॉक्स है, उस पर थोड़ा सा कुछ बता पाएंगे? सी बॉक्स क्या है, ये क्या सिस्टम है?
I am not getting sir. C box मैंने I am not getting. Can you clear it?
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सिस्टम है कोई कंप्लेंट का, मिनिस्ट्री का, उसको शॉर्ट में बोला ही गया है सी बॉक्स के नाम से है ये.
No sir, I don't have
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक बॉक्स.
नहीं सर, आइडिया नहीं मुझे. मैं जरूर उसके बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन ले दूंगी.
जी, थैंक.
अंडर दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट तो उसके बारे में बोला नहीं गया है. वो आई विल ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट.
इसको 2017 में लेके आया था ये प्रोविजन जो है मंत्रालय, तो थोड़ा सा उसकी प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट के बारे में.
ओके सर, डेफिनेटली I'll about this act, any queries? Yes.
Thank you, Netra.
Sir, I just want to post that video links about the sexual harassment.
You can,
definitely,
yes, you
that
can
is very important. All of you go through that. I will post on that link. Okay.
And also share PPT to me. I will
Yes,
share.
sir. I'll share the PPT as well as the link also. YouTube का ही link है, but everybody should know about that. That's what I want. I'll definitely. Okay.
Thank you, Netra Thakre madam, for accepting invitation of this World Record Webinar Series 2. And the topic was very useful to those who are working as a women worker, maybe in private sector or maybe in government sector. You also defined what are the categories of these workers and what type of sexual harassment can happen, what compensation or compromise should be done, how the committees are formed, how they try to redress all these things. So it was very useful information to all of us. And as a women empowerment, every cell or every office should form such committee, and in ethical case these cases should not be happened in our surrounding or in our office. If happened so, then we have to take care of that. And जो इसमें सफरर है उसको न्याय देने की कोशिश इस एक्ट के मतलब से हो सकती है. और ऐसी तो दुर्घटना न हो कि कोई भी महिलाओं का अपमान न हो कोई भी ऑफिस में, मगर कुछ हुआ तो ही उसके लिए कायदा आधार देके उनका कॉम्पेंसेशन या उनको कुछ कायदा न्याय देने वाले हो सकता है. भविष्य में भी आप इस वेबिनार सीरीज में निमंत्रित है, और ऐसे कोई सोशल टॉपिक आपके पास है तो आप निश्चित रूप से निमंत्रित रहेंगे. थैंक यू मैडम.
Yes sir. Thank you sir for giving me opportunity to share this about this act. Thank you very much.
Okay. All participants are requested to fill up the link for getting your certificate.